if you're desiring to go into the next week experiencing deeper connection with yourself and your child, and if you currently have a very deep desire to just experience more peace, period, and you also happen to be a parent raising a child at the same time, and you want to go into the next week just feeling more empowered and more able to just create an energy in your home that feels more peaceful, that feels like a safe space for you and your child, that feels like a space where you can just, both of you, all of you in the home, just feel more able to be your authentic selves unapologetically, where there's no spanking and no screaming and no power struggles, or at least these are very reduced. And so is the guilt and shame that some of us may feel when we partake in those behaviors that we may have experienced growing up, or that we may have been conditioned and taught were what makes a good parent, right? For a lot of us, we were taught that to be a good parent, you need to hit, you know? So if you're watching this right now, I invite you to let go of any shame or guilt you may have if you have spanked your child, especially if you were raised. You came out your mom's vagina and then boom, you were raised in an environment that told you through what you experienced and through what society has promoted on TVs, movies, in your family, etc. You came out your mom's vagina and then boom, you were in an environment that promoted and told you by example that being a parent equals hitting your child when you are triggered, or as a form of love, or as a form of communication. If you were taught that that is valid, I invite you to let that shame and guilt go, because what's really happening is you're beating yourself up and keeping yourself in a very restricted and tight, resistant, low energy, by beating yourself up about something you were taught and something that you learned. So I invite you to, give yourself some permission right now to let go of, and not just those of you who have spanked or screamed, right? Any of you watching this right now who has done or said anything that reflects the consciousness of this world, right? Anything that you have done that has been reactive and not something that you feel was a response that you preferred, was a response that you would have given your child if you were responding from the love that you are, right? I invite you to give yourself permission to forgive yourself. We were born and we were conditioned with the programming of this world. So, I invite you to give yourself permission to let go of the shame and guilt of anything you've done or said in parenthood that you wish you hadn't. Even if it just happened 5 minutes ago, if it happened, especially if it happened 5 years ago, I give yourself permission to let go of that, and give yourself permission to start in this moment as a blank slate, and to do that as often as you feel is necessary. But yeah, if you are experiencing spanking or screaming 1 to 5 times per week, if you are really wanting to see how we can use parenthood strategically and methodically to get more aware, become more aware of how we have been programmed to parent versus how we feel instinctively or intuitively to parent. If you want to see how we can use parenthood to get more clear about who we really are, and to parent from love, from your heart, from freedom, from peace, and if you want to see how we can use parenthood to do that, If you are interested in co-creating with others on Zoom in a way that helps us to be able to tackle whatever challenges we may be currently facing in parenthood from a peaceful vibe, from a solution oriented perspective, instead of seeing the challenges in parenthood as challenges, as problems, but instead seeing them as opportunities for us to deepen our connection with ourself, and then therefore our child. If you are interested in seeing how this can be extremely simple and practical, then there's a workshop on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that you are invited to. It will be on Zoom. And if you want more details on how to join, comment or direct message me the word workshop, and I will share that with you. Two of the topics that I'm going to speak on before we jam out together. Two of the topics that I'm going to share on. One of them is how to use fear and anxiety to deepen gratitude, genuine gratitude. So, how to use fear and anxiety to deepen gratitude, and also to deepen a recognition of your truest self. And how to show up, how to use fear and gratitude to show up as your truest self with your child, as your favorite version of yourself with your child. The second topic is the power of triggers and how to use even the very, very subtle ones to drastically reduce overstimulation. Whereas we may be used to being triggered and then feeling extremely overstimulated and not knowing what to do or how to process, or operating from this belief or idea that triggers are why we are overstimulated all the time, right? But there's a way for us to use triggers to reduce overstimulation and to also strengthen our ability to keep our hearts open and receptive in those triggering moments. So I'm going to be speaking on those two topics. I'm sure I'll share more on a few other topics as well, but for right now, those are the two core topics I'll be sharing on, and then we'll be able to come together and jam out and really speak to some of the things that we're going through individually in a very empowered way. And yeah, so if you're interested in being part of this workshop on Saturday, comment or direct message me the word workshop, and I will share with you the info on that. You receive way more than just access to this workshop if you do choose to register.